Hey, what's today? October 3rd, 2021, here
Yes.
with your NFL Pick Show. Of course, my co-host, Joe Madden. Joe, College Football Saturday separated the contenders from pretenders for a good amount of it. Boy, we saw, like I said in yesterday's show, the face of college football was changed forever yesterday. I know a lot of people never really saw it or realized it, and people were saying, "Oh, it's a great thing that Cincinnati won and all that stuff." But what they didn't realize is that college football will never be the same, and in all the right ways. And I'm excited about it. How about you, Joe?
Absolutely. What a fun day of college football it was yesterday. Great games. Cincinnati coming out and winning that game in such a great fashion. Like, it's not like they came from behind. They dominated that game. It was wonderful to see.
They absolutely dominated the game, and they'll go out on to run the table and win their conference and head to the playoff. And with a major conference school being pushed out of the playoff, and with likely after yesterday very clearly looking like two SEC teams will be in the playoff, what we will see next year right out of the gate, the day the championship game ends, or even before the playoff this year, we'll hear the announcement of a 12-team playoff for next year and possibly even 16-team playoff for next year. And that is a good thing for college football. I think that it's time, and I don't think number 16 can beat number 1. I don't think that, but you never know for one game. But it does mean more football, and it does mean more meaningful games. And it also means that the little guys are going to get a chance, and we will see some of these smaller conference schools get a crack at some of the big guys. And it would have been interesting last year to see BYU or Coastal get a shot at Georgia. It would have been interesting to see, But I'm excited for it. I've seen events like this throughout history, so I know it when it happens, and people will go back in time, many years from now, and they're going to say that's when it all happened, right? It happened that October 2nd, 2021, when Cincinnati went into Notre Dame and busted them up big time. They've just busted them up, right? They just had no answers whatsoever. Notre Dame just looked lost. And they had played Wisconsin this year. It's not like they had played some easy schedule or anything like that, or it was a down year for Notre Dame. No, they went into South Bend and they just busted them up, took control from the opening kickoff, and never looked back. So it was awesome.
Absolutely. It was
awesome.
Freaking awesome, Mitch.
Yeah, it's like when Boise beat Oklahoma, in the Fiesta, and now all of a sudden they said, we got to give these guys a chance. When Utah beat Pittsburgh in the Fiesta Bowl, it's like you got to give these teams a chance. And, of course, when Utah busted up Alabama by about 50 in the Sugar that year, it was like, yeah, these teams are for real. So it was definitely one of those moments that, whether you knew it happened, whether you don't know it happened, whether you're wondering what's happened, you will know in December the impact that game had, and it's pretty cool. There's some other things that happened in college football yesterday that were, we saw a couple teams that were on the rise get run over, and I think when you see that in college football, you kind of know that, well, these programs are up and coming, but they're not quite there yet. And we saw that in Athens between the hedges as Georgia just came out, and they were just like they just refused to take no for an answer. 21 points right out of the gate, and it was over before it started. That blocked punt was kind of just, the no chance play.
Absolutely. And then we had really competitive games like we saw at Boston College and Clemson, just like we thought Clemson, again, not being able to cover that big spread.
No, they definitely struggled. It was not my best day in college football, I'll be honest. I could say, I had some things that went against me, but I had some other spots where I was just dead wrong. And that's the nature of the beast. It's going to happen, and, we'll move on. But anyways, we move on to NFL Sunday. Now we're in week 4. This is when the injury lists get extremely long. It's rare that, an NFL player can go through a 16-game schedule. This year we have a 17-game schedule. So it's even a little bit different than that. And, it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. We have some big question marks in some big games. Of course, we got all of our cappers coming in today to join us as well. We have a really good roster today. We have Ron Romanelli. We've got
James Clark,
Al Ninos, Jovan Burts, Al Mcmodie, Rod, Brian, and Chris Ruffolo, I believe. So, anyways, pretty excited about that as well.
Oh, me too, Mitch. It's going to be a great morning. So thanks everyone for joining us. I see we got a lot of people watching right now. So make sure you guys hit that like button for us. Continue to make us wake up early on a Sunday morning and chat with you guys. Not that we didn't want to anyway.
Yeah, I like to give everybody a chance at the beginning to kind of join us. That's what that whole little beginning was all about. I love college football. I could talk about it every single day. Joe thinks I should talk about college football. Just have a college football show every single day, like all year.
I do
all year
long. I think you can find enough to talk about.
I seem to always be able to. But speaking about someone that could probably be on the show every day with me, we'll bring in Ron Romanelli. Ron, good morning.
Morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good. And so yesterday, obviously the game wasn't in Gainesville. It was in Lexington. But Dan Mullen did what Dan Mullen does, and that is get you to around the 500 mark, which he seems to gravitate towards every head coaching job he's ever had. Was it a game you guys felt you should have won, or did you know you were up against it there?
By halftime, I figured we were in trouble. Just the way that they played, a lot of bad mistakes. Obviously, 15 flags. 8 false starts, I believe. It just wasn't a game we deserved to win, and I don't even think we had a. And I say we. I really don't care about the team that much, but I mean, I do go to the school, so I gotta, I have to. Well,
you got represent. The flag. You got the flag behind you, so it's kind of.
Yeah, I gotta represent. My friends are so upset about that loss, and it just goes to show there's a losing culture at UF Sports right now, and it's unfortunate. The basketball program, the football program, baseball, but just bad coaching decisions, bad play calls, and just not enough oomph against the team that we should have beat, even on the road.
Yeah, I would love to go back to college. I'll tell you that much and experience it. Again, a lot of things I would have done differently. I think Ron's got it down pat, though. But anyways, we head to today's NFL action. And you got a couple games for us?
I have one play I'm going to go over, yep.
All right, well, let her rip.
All righty. Well, I'm looking at this Seahawks and 49ers game, and I really don't like the way the Seahawks defense has looked this season. Seattle is ranked dead last in the league in yards allowed per game at 440. Seattle's secondary has just been torched this season. The last 2 games, they've allowed over 300 yards passing. And on the season, opposing quarterbacks have a 70.7 completion percentage this season at playing against Seattle. I think the Niners are going to take advantage of that. We know that San Francisco's offense has been a bit inconsistent this season. They're around average in total yards per game, but they are scoring 29 points per game. And heading into the season, the Niners were really big on running back Trey Sermon from Ohio State. And now that it seems like the entire running back group is injured with Mostert and Elijah Mitchell out, Jermichael Hasty banged up as well, Sermon gets another chance on the main stage in this one, with Juszczyk getting a few snaps at running back as well. I expect a strong game from Sermon in this one. Russell Wilson, it seems like he's a magician at times. He can do it himself. And I do think he needs his help. He needs help, though. The offensive line hasn't held up well. The Seahawks are allowing sacks on 9% of passing plays, which is definitely well below the league average. And I think the Niners pass rush is going to put a lot of pressure on Wilson today. We know the defense is struggling, and I think the Niners put up enough points, make enough stops at home to earn a victory by at least a field goal here. Home field advantage and laying only less than a field goal, too valuable for me to pass up. So I'll take the Niners and I'll lay the points. I think they get a big win here.
Joe, what are you thinking here with the Niners?
Yeah, I'm loving everything Ron is saying right now. I'm looking at the over in this game. I think both these teams do have issues on their defensive side of the ball, and both will be able to capitalize. So I like this over. I think as long as the San Francisco 49ers can convert in that red zone, because Seattle's defense, that is where they're strong. We're going to see a high-scoring game. I think this total is way too low for these two teams.
I don't think it surprises anybody that I'm going to take Seattle here. It is the Niners just one of the worst home favorites in all the NFL. It's like there's a couple teams out there that it's beyond stigma. It's beyond anything like that. It is just they are just lousy at home, and as a home favorite, they're even worse. So it's like it's just one of those things where I can't be confident in them when you have a Seattle team that we've seen only win on the road this season. This is Seattle's third road game of the year, so certainly not going to see anything here that they haven't seen already. But when we look at the 49ers and just how dreadful these trends are, 1-4 against the number in their last 5 at home, 1-4 against the number in their last 5 against a team with a losing record. It gets even worse. It's like 10-26-1 against the number in their last 37 as a favorite. This is a team that certainly, this is like the John Lynch type thing. 5-21-1 against the number as a home favorite. I don't know, man. To me, that's just unforgivable. It's not something I can work with. So I'm gonna take Seattle here. I'm gonna take the other side. I think Russell Wilson. It's one of those games where he just finds a way. We saw Aaron Rodgers find a way last week against them, and I just think that. I think they find a way this week as well with Seattle in a divisional game where we know that they know each other pretty well. But Ron, what do you got for sale today?
Yep, today we're looking for another winning NFL Sunday. I have a NFL Super Sunday trio. You get my top 3 plays of the day. You get one game in the 1 o'clock schedule, one game in the 4 p.m. games, and then my Sunday night football play as well. So a little bit of everything today, and I'm really, really liking these plays, looking for a 3-0 sweep. So check it out at PickDawgz Premium.
Yeah, I can't get behind the dual quarterback, right? So at Florida, they have the dual quarterback also, right? And it's like at San Francisco, it's, when you have this quarterback where someone's always looking over your shoulder, it's like it makes you tense and it makes you tight. And Garoppolo wasn't good enough to begin with, right? So that's just, to me, part of the issue there. When you have a quarterback controversy, what that means is no one has emerged from the pack, That's all that means.
I really like Jimmy G. I like him. I think he's underrated.
Joe's the quarterback whisperer. She's the quarterback whisperer. She nailed Sam Darnold to be, to have the big year, and so far so good on that one. And then who played on Thursday? You like this guy, whoever that was too. Oh, Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Joe Burrows. Don't like Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I've got a list.
She's got the list.
Yeah, well, I think that another thing is, I don't know if there's necessarily a quarterback controversy. I think Trey Lance has kind of taken on his role. He comes in a few times. He's had a few touchdowns.
Nope.
I don't necessarily know if there's a over-your-shoulder kind of feeling there. I think maybe in Chicago with Justin Fields, but I don't know. I would say Jimmy G's looking pretty comfortable. Look, he played well last game against the Packers.
If I may, you trade up to the number 4 overall draft choice in the draft, and you take a quarterback. I think he's in the plans. I don't know.
He's in the future plans.
If something tells me this guy's in the plans, And
yeah, in the near future. But right now it's Jimmy G's team. So I think he's looked well last week. He gave him too much. They gave Rodgers too much time. We've seen that happen.
They beat the Lions and the Eagles. It's Jimmy G's team. You lose at home to the Packers, and you lose at home to the Seahawks. We're going to see how much it's Jimmy G's team. We're going to see just how much.
I trust both guys. I think both guys can beat the Seattle secondary.
We saw Heisman candidate Spencer Rattler nearly boot off the field 2 weeks ago in Norman.
Bring back the Legion of Boom, though. Man, I miss that for Seattle.
I like Clappy. I like Clappy. Do like him.
He's a good coach.
Anyways, this is Ron Romanelli. Thanks, Ron, for joining us. We could talk football all day. But, Joe, I think that's one of the better games of the day. Week 4, you get into these divisional matchups. running the table, all those things, they kind of go out the window in the NFL, right? It's like you don't really see it too much, you don't see it at all. And, it doesn't always happen in the obvious spot either, where teams falter.
Absolutely.
But, divisional matchups are never gimmies. They're never gimmies at all. We know that much.
No.
But
no, not at all. And no game ever is. It's any given Sunday comes for a reason, right? Like any team can upset another.
It does. And speaking of upsets and anything happening on any given Sunday, for the first time, we welcome to our show Al Ninos. Al, welcome to our show. He's got the mic off. Nice. Can't hear.
That's a great start. Thank you very much, Mitch. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome to our show. I don't know if you've met Joe Madden, but Joe's Al Ninos.
Nice to meet you, Al.
There you go. Live on the air introduction. So, Al, week 4 of the NFL season. I know you prefer the pro sports over the college sports. So these are your games. You're kind of transitioning out of the baseball phase into football. What are you looking at in today's action?
Yeah, definitely going to miss that baseball, but it's not quite over yet, and I got a great postseason to look forward to. So not done with that just yet, but yeah, we're looking at a couple of games in the NFL here. I don't know which one you wanted to kick off with.
Whichever one you like, we're ready for you.
We'll go with the one that starts first, I guess. So the Browns headed to Minnesota here. Browns roster is loaded with offensive talent, and the Vikings, they have some good playmakers themselves, and a great receiver in Adam Thielen. Dalvin Cook's listed as questionable, but he should be good to go. He practiced, looked good enough. And, they didn't hold back on him last week when he was listed questionable too. So expect a big workload from him to help them kind of keep the offense moving. Cleveland was supposed to have a pretty good defense coming into the season, but they allowed 29 and 21 points in weeks 1 and 2 before holding the Bears to just 6 points in week 3. But they'll be up against a much better offense today, and Minnesota's defense hasn't been particularly impressive either. So I like this game to go over here.
Joe, what are you thinking in this one?
Yeah, I could see this being an over game between these two teams. I am leaning on Minnesota. This isn't one that is going to make any of my plays, but when we look at the Browns facing Minnesota, they are 1-7. The Vikings just owning this team. So I'm leaning on the Vikings. Give me the Vikings plus the points.
I'm with Joe as well. I like the Vikings in this game. I think that the home field advantage of Minnesota is really, really underrated. That dome is loud. It is super loud. And speaking of loud, thanks for all the compliments on my Motorhead shirt from my videos. But that's the loudest. But anyways, I think it is a tough building, and I could see points in this game too. I think that Jefferson and Cook, that the Vikings hit 2 home runs on those guys, when they drafted them, and of course for Cleveland, they just have playmakers all over the place. They're thinking Super Bowl this year, so this is gonna be a good one, no doubt about it. And I'm kind of like Joe. I'm not really like on my list of where I'm dumping my big bets. That's for sure. Not because I don't think it's gonna be a good game, because there's other places that I just feel more confident today, because this one I could see a couple different scenarios. It's like
Absolutely.
Myles Garrett, rushing against Kirk Cousins. It's like it's not a great matchup there, but
and that's what scares me. Relying on Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins. I've always said I've liked him, but in situations like this is where he lets me down. Where he should have this game. They're at home. Everything points to me wanting to take the Vikings, but I'm not going to pull the trigger and make that bet.
Yeah, I went back and forth on the side on this game quite a bit. I mean, I usually tend to look at sides too before I look at totals, but yeah, definitely the total is a lot more appealing to me than the side in this one. This is going to be a great matchup, so definitely one to watch.
Absolutely. What do you got next for us?
Another great matchup between the Cardinals and the Rams. So this one will be in Los Angeles. Again, we're having 2 of the hottest quarterbacks here to start the young season. Kyler Murray's looked great. As good as he's been, we've seen Matthew Stafford get Offensive Player of the Week, so he's been great with his new team. Obviously, he has a lot better pass protection this year to actually get some plays and give some of his receivers some time to get open. Rams that do have a great defense. There's no doubt about that. You talked about the pass rush in the last matchup. This one should be fun to watch too. Aaron Donald chasing Kyler Murray around, but he's definitely a quarterback that can move around. He should be able to make some plays with his feet and definitely run around long enough while getting chased to give DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green some time to get themselves open as well. So again, this one we do have to worry about the Rams defense here, but as I said, I think Kyler Murray is the type of quarterback you want against that defense. So I'm gonna take the over in this one again too.
Joe, what do you think in this one? This one, you have two great defenses and two good offenses. I could. This is I love divisional matchups.
Absolutely, and you can see this game going either way. I think it comes down to who has the ball last, and the line is reflecting this with a 4-point spread. I'm going to have to take the Rams in this one. I think they're just a little bit better, especially with Matt Stafford. The Rams also at home are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 home games. So give me the Rams.
I'm going to have to disagree with Joe again. I just think that it's amazing we can even get 5 circa picks together.
At least you gotta like the ones you do agree on.
At least it's Joe knows it's not personal. It's nothing personal.
Yeah, it's personal. I write in my diary every night, Mitch.
It's like she intentionally freezes on Skype with the stink eye. It's like intentional. Anyways, I just think in this one, I think that with Aaron Donald, like Al was saying, I think Aaron Donald creates that center push against that Rams offensive line, and most quarterbacks, especially pocket passers like Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, they struggle the most when they get that that center push. Guys like Kyler Murray, they aren't unaffected by the center push because he throws on the outside, just like Russell Wilson, and that's the difference between those type of quarterbacks, right? So I think that I think the Cardinals have a nice edge in this game because I think that they'll be able to get that center push on the Rams in this one, and what we're going to see then is Matthew Stafford that we saw, right, for how many years. He didn't become a new player. He might be on a different team. He's still Matthew Stafford. He still makes bad decisions. He still forces throws. He's still going to do all those things. I think this game is going to be super tight. It's a lot of points for a divisional game. But I do like the over as well. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to have to be wide open. I don't think that either of these teams, and also the Rams getting Darrell Henderson back in the lineup, is another guy that's like another home run hitter that does that. Of course, the Cardinal offense ranks second in the NFL overall in yards, third in passing yards, and number 1 in points. The Rams, number 3 in points in the NFL. So this shapes up to be that type of game.
Yeah, the Cardinals put up 30-plus points in each of their games so far. So, yeah, it should be a great matchup against this defense.
Well, baseball not over for you, Al. I know that you're
Never.
a Dodger guy as well. But what do you got for sale today?
I have a 7-pack, 5 NFL, 2 MLBs. Baseball's not over. A lot of great matchups in baseball today as well. So, definitely going to be keeping an eye on that as well. So, a lot of seasons on the line today. So, it should be a great day. Lots of great games, NFL, MLB. So, I've got that 7-pack. I also have the 5-pack, the NFL, separately if you're just into football. So, check them out. As we always say, the long-term passes are 2-for-1 capper deals. Best way to go.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, you're regular on our shows here on the weekends where we welcome all the different cappers. We appreciate you stopping by. Thanks, Al.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Absolutely. First time.
Best of luck, Al.
First time.
Thanks.
Best luck. Except on that. No, I'm just kidding. Except on that pick. I'm on the other side. No. Al's big Dodger backer. He wore the Kershaw shirt last year, and he got absolutely bludgeoned in that game. So you don't see him wearing the Kershaw shirt anymore. We have fun. that's part of it. But yeah, Joe. So we got a couple cappers, couple different things. A lot of guys leaning on totals in the early action here, and maybe that's where the better bets are. I'm not really sure. What are you thinking? I mean, I have all sides today, in my premiums.
Yeah, for sure. I think some of these overs, the lines look a little low when I'm looking at them, looking at, what teams averagely score, looking at holes in defenses, looking at injuries. I think there is a lot of value in some of these overs today. Yeah,
it seems like we're at that time of the year, though, where the weather will start to change. And always something to be leery of.
Yeah. Now, there's a comment that Fields is starting today. Have they now pulled Nick Foles and starting Justin Fields?
I don't think he was ever officially announced as the.
Oh man.
Nagy said that he wasn't going to announce the starter until the day of the game, so it was never officially announced that Foles was going to start.
I wonder how the line has moved if they have actually announced that. Hit the Lions, though.
I'll check. I'll check it in just a second. The problem is that I had our next guest loaded up, and I got these little name tags and stuff. We try and get a little better each week, on this stuff. You guys can see me fiddling around back here as that's what I'm doing. But this one, it said one name in my files. And actually a different person's stuff came up. So, but it's James Clark from West Virginia. James, how are you doing this morning?
Pretty good, Mitch. How are you doing? How are you and Joe doing today?
I'm doing okay. It's better than Al Ninos isn't here anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Could be worse. You could be Ruffolo. Anyways. Yeah, it's that kind of day. But I had
someone give Mitch a coffee.
Yeah,
or a Snicker.
I'm still on my first cup. Just give me a pile of butter and sugar.
Yeah.
So, James, the NFL season treating you decently so far?
Yeah, pretty good. Had a winning day last season, or last week. Going 5-2 and looking to build off that today.
So we have our Become a Capper contest coming up. Joe and I have been discussing when we want to do it, and I think that November is always a great month for it, or December. But I think because this way you get NFL, NHL, college football, and NBA. So at least there's 4 sports going on, 4 big ones. So you won it last year. You hit some gigantic money line dogs to get it done. Probably gonna have to change the rules because of you, but we're happy that we got you. Any advice for anyone out there that's thinking about becoming a capper with having to work with me?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's like I said the first time I was on the show. It's a lot harder than what people actually think. Like I said, you think you just get on here and give out picks and be on the show, but when it comes down to putting in the picks, being on the show, researching, it's a lot harder than what you think. And you have to be on top of your game if you want to be successful with this. You got to be on top of your game day in and day out. You can't take days off. Like the morning show, 7 days a week, you can guarantee it's there. Well, you got to have that same work ethic. You got to make sure you're there 7 days a week, putting your picks in, and work hard if you want to be successful. This ain't fun and games. I mean, if you want to be at the top of the leaderboard, better put your work in.
Well, there's some fun and games to it. Well, what do you got today for us? I think I have fun and games.
I have fun every morning with you guys.
I have fun every morning too. Except
the group is fun. It is fun, but you got to be business-like at it too if you want to be at the top.
You certainly have to take it seriously, and I think the thing is that what people don't realize, it's kind of like when you watch. So I'm a Jeopardy watcher, right? It's like I'm not going to apologize for it, but it is what I am, right? So the thing is, and people are like, man, you should be on Jeopardy. But the thing is, when you're home, it's always your turn. Like Wheel of Fortune, it's always your turn, and just like, if you're capping at home, it's like, it's easy to just say, okay, I got, 25 games here or something, right? And it's like, oh, I knew they were going to win. But it's like, yeah, sit there and like narrow it down, and somehow Arkansas pops up onto your list, and it's 21-0 in the first quarter. Not so easy to show up here the next day, that's for sure.
I'll tell you another thing, Mitch. It's easy when you're putting your own money on it. When you're putting picks out there and people's got their own money on it, then that's when it really gets. That's the big difference. When other people who got their hard-earned money on your picks. And you want to be at the top of the list and try to help them out as much as you can. If you lose, you're like, oh well, I'll get them next time. But somebody else's money, it's you gotta be prideful. Make sure try to make them get the more bang for their buck.
I'm with you. I say it all the time. I'm like, some people are like, oh, I just fade your picks or whatever. And I say, I don't care. If that's gonna make you a winner, you go ahead and fade my picks. I really don't care. It's like, it's not a picking contest for me. I mean, this is what I do for a living, and it's like sometimes my good plays don't make it to the board. Like last night, I had Arizona State. I gave it out in the VIP show, but I didn't give it out as one of my premium picks. And it's like I love them. And as the day went on, I realized I liked them even more. But anyways, James, what do you got today for us for a play? I got Al Ninos' picture there, so I gotta somehow get you off there. But hang on a sec.
All right.
There we go. All right, go ahead.
All right.
I'll flip you into the next.
Okay. I'm gonna start off with this Carolina and Cowboys game here. I look at Carolina with Sam Darnold. A good team that's come out. 0-3 a season. And Dak, he's coming off injury. He's looking good too. I look both of these teams to cancel each other out. I think the edge here is Carolina's defense here. I think Carolina's got a better defense than Dallas, and I think it's going to be a close game. And Carolina getting plus 4 points. I really like Carolina in this game today. I think the defense is the key here. I think, like I said, both offenses are good and they cancel each other out, but the defense is on Carolina's side and getting plus 4 points with the better defense. I really like that pick.
Well, I know someone that is a big Sam Darnold fan. Joe, who's
that? Yeah, I absolutely love Sam Darnold. I do, and I will say it again. Like, his time with the Jets was not fair to him. I'm so glad he's with the Panthers. And I see a great game for the Panthers today. They could take this game outright. James, I completely agree with you what you're saying on their defense. Their defense is only, allowing 10 points per game on average. It will be a great game. So they're 6-0 against the spread on the road as well as a dog. Like, give me the Panthers all day long. I'm taking the money line and put it in right now, actually. The more I talk about it, the more I want them just straight up on the money line. And don't get me wrong, because I've got Cowboy fans telling me I hate Dak Prescott. This is not the case. I actually really like Dak Prescott. I just don't believe in this Cowboys team enough.
Me neither. Look who they beat. They beat the Eagles, and then they squeaked out a win against the Chargers. And then you got the Panthers, who's beat the Saints. They've played good against everybody. They ain't really had a letdown spot. They've either come out and dominated the game, or in offense, or their defense dominated the game.
So
I look for more of that today.
I'm with you guys. I like the Panthers here, but I think that there is a factor here that a lot of people aren't considering, because we all have right. So the Panthers have 10 days off here, and the Cowboys are in a short week, right? So it's another advantage for the Panthers as well. But one of the things is that Christian McCaffrey, when we've seen the Panthers the last 3 games, it's been with Christian McCaffrey, and he didn't play in the last game, but he played some of it, but he did not play the whole game. But the other team had to game plan for him. And that is a big thing to game plan for. I mean, he is, the best player on that team, right? I mean, he is their best player. And certainly one of the best players in the league when he's healthy, 25 minutes a year that he's healthy, he is one of the best players in the league. So not having to game plan him and not having to account for him is a big deal, You know, it's a really big deal. So, you know, it's certainly something, you know, that we need to look for and see just if Sam Darnold is as effective, you know, without Christian McCaffrey, you know, in the game plan. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard has looked good. I love that pick. You know, when they picked him, I thought he was perfect, right? Because here he fills in for McCaffrey. He's similar, you know, except he doesn't get hurt as much, which is a good thing. It was amazing. Go ahead.
That's like when McCaffrey got hurt. You know, the Panthers knew what they was playing for. He got hurt in the second quarter, and they didn't even attempt to put him back in the game because, you know, they're looking for long term. So, you know, he's been rested ever since he got hurt in the second quarter. So, you know, I think it'd be good to go.
Tony TJ in the comments said Dallas has a good defense too. I mean, where's my laugh track? Seriously, I mean, come on. Dallas has a good defense too. If you have a guy that makes over $15 million a year and he's on the bench, you don't have a good defense. Okay, I think that's one of the qualifiers, right? If you have a guy that makes $15 million a year and he gets beat out for his starting job, obviously you guys don't know what you're doing. The Dallas defense ranked 26 in the NFL, giving up 402 yards per game. 331.7 through the air per game. That is good enough for 31st in the NFL. Last I checked, there was 31 teams plus the Jaguars. So, I don't know. James, any credibility here that Dallas has any semblance of a defense?
The only thing I'll give them is they got maybe the best defense in their division, which I ain't saying much when you got what you thought Washington have a good defense, but if you got the Giants, Eagle, and Washington, and you got the best defense out of those three teams, yeah, maybe, but that's about it. That's why they rank 26, because the rest of their division is behind them.
I think DeMarcus Lawrence is one of the best defenders in the NFL, but you know, when he's not playing, he isn't. You know, it's kind of about the same as McCaffrey. I don't know. You know, I'm lost at what they're trying to do in Dallas. I never really understood the salary structure there among their players. So, to me, it's always been a little bit of confusion. But what else you got for us today, James?
I'm looking at this Denver Broncos Baltimore pick here. You know, you look at this Denver team with Teddy Bridgewater, you know, cool, calm, and collective here. You know, he just marches the team down the field, scores the touchdown. They got a nice defense to back him up. You know, Lamar Jackson, you know, electric, gets his team up and down the field. You know, like basically the same thing as what they're looking at the Panthers game. I like, you know, both these offenses cancel each other out. Denver has a awesome defense, and you know, I like Denver today on the money line here. I know Baltimore, you know, they beat the Chiefs. But, you know, I don't think they face the defense as what they're getting ready to face today. And I like Denver on the money line today.
Joe, what are you thinking here?
I can't take Denver to be a 4-0 team after today. I don't think they can do it. We look at the teams they've beaten, and I think the Ravens will have their number. I think the Ravens are the more solid team. I know Denver has come out looking fantastic in these first 3 weeks, but there's no way I'm taking Denver.
I think to me, you know, we look at the Ravens, and here's a team, and I kind of like, you know, I look at, you know, in the NFL, I think is one of the sports where you can look at recent trends, and the Ravens are the kings of regular season. I mean, they are the absolute straight-out kings of regular season when it comes to winning games. I think the only game they've lost in the last year and a half in the regular season is that Raiders game, which they lost in overtime and really should have won. Denver has beat three teams that are 0-10 now combined. They're not even 0-9 anymore. They're 0-10 at this point. So it's tough for me to have any faith in them. I know that the Broncos have drafted, you know, pretty well over the years. I've liked a lot of their picks, but not so sure I love them here. I just think that, you know, this to me is one of those spots where we just saw a kicker that kicked a 68-yard field goal last week indoors. I think they should go for a 78-yarder in this one. I would love to see him do it, you know. I'd love to see him be the first guy to kick one over 70. I think if there's a guy that deserves it I think it's this guy. It'd take the right scenario.
That's one of the big reasons I'm going with Denver. The way Baltimore struggled trying to score against Detroit's defense last week, they're coming up against a lot tougher defense. And if they can't score against Detroit, they're definitely going to score against Denver. So that's why I like the pick.
Yeah, I really believe both of these teams do have good defenses. That's another angle I'm looking at with this game. I think this under is too low, though. I'm seeing 44s, and that's way too low for these teams. These teams can put the points on the board. So I think the strongest play in this game, in my opinion, would be that over 44.
But don't you guys think that the Denver defense has those big numbers because they played against, Joe, you're the quarterback whisperer. You've been like Zach Wilson stinks from they didn't even get the name out of their mouth for the draft choice. And you're already, trying to bet the over on interceptions on this guy. And,
Absolutely.
and it's like, you got him, you got Daniel Jones, right? Pick 6. Yeah. And then you have, Trevor Lawrence, is who they faced. I would say that some of these numbers might be a little bit overstated, and we're going to find out today. Lamar Jackson is a little bit different animal than Zach Wilson, and he's a little bit different than Daniel Jones is a mobile quarterback, but not compared to this guy. This guy's the real deal, man. This guy, Lamar Jackson, is just, he's a freak of nature. And I've watched, everyone knows I watched ridiculous amounts of football at the college and at the NFL level. Yeah. And I've never seen anything like this. It's like, it's amazing the guys that just tackle air against this guy, right? It's
absolutely. And we look at his first season in the NFL and how he just wasn't able to make those passes like he did, and all the work he did in the off season. He says the ball was a little bit different, and that just threw him off, right? This kid has heart. I'm a huge Lamar fan.
Well, he probably had to take a pay cut also when he came to the NFL, but that's a different story.
I love watching him and Vic. So the way they used to throw they throw a flick of the wrist, man, and it goes 70 and 80 yards, man.
Yeah, I think
you said, he is a freak of nature.
I think that Michael Vick might have had more north-south speed than Lamar Jackson does. I think Lamar Jackson might be a little quicker than Michael Vick, but I think Michael Vick had the better arm. That guy could seriously throw, 70, 80 yards on the run, a rope. I think Michael Vick might have one of the strongest arms ever in the history of the NFL. Him and like a Brett Favre type cannon, Doug Williams type arm. Anyways, James, what do you got for sale today?
I got a NFL. I got a 7-pack going on that I really 7 games I really love. Went 5-2. Like I said last Sunday, looking to sweep the board today. You can grab today's package or upgrade 3-7 or 30-day after we go 7-0. Or, team me up with any of the other cappers on the show today or on the site. As you see, every time I get airtime, I always say we got the best cappers in the world, and we do. So team me up with one of them, and we'll put some money in your pockets.
All right. Well, thank you, James, for joining us today. We seriously appreciate it. We love having you on the show, of course, and maybe next week.
Appreciate you having me.
Maybe next week we can get you on for some college football as well, if you're around on Saturday.
Sounds good.
Best of luck today, James. Keep killing it.
Too. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day too. Appreciate you having me.
That was James Clark. He's been tearing it up at PickDawgz ever since we brought him on board. Of course, he was, like I said, one of the winners of the Become a Capper contest. And, a lot of people, I think we got lucky, it's like not only can the guy pick games, but he also understands, what being a capper is. It's easy to, say, I'm going to take a few days off, it's easy to say that, but what if someone, paid for your yearly pass or something and they don't care if you want a day off?
Absolutely. And he said one of the truest statements too. It's easy just to bet your own money, but when you're giving other people your picks and they're betting their hard-earned money, makes it a lot more stressful for sure. And we care. All of us care.
Yeah, we definitely, I definitely do. I'll tell you that much. And I know you do too, Joe. So, yeah, it's always different to hear different perspectives. I know last week when Jovan joined us, as well, he was in the Become a Capper that, he expressed a lot of those same things, but Jovan just continues to win. That's all he's been doing. Hasn't had time to do much else. He just shows up here, gives out winners, shows up on the site, gives out winners. If you bet $100 on his games, I'd sound like a broken record here. Over the last month, well, you're getting an extra $3,268. People ask me, how do you make a living betting sports? Well, it's a good way to start. That's if you bet $100 a game. If you bet $250 a game, or if we were like one of the other sites where he could rate his picks and say, "Oh, this is my 10-star," and you get 1,000 units on that one instead of 100 units or whatever. It's like imagine where this number would be. You know, probably $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. You know, I don't know. We'll just make a number up. Jovan, what would the number be? I don't know. You tell us. His mic's out. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I don't know, but it'll be a whole lot of money.
I think it would be. You've been absolutely slaying it. So NFL action today. We've got, we're in week 4. Any different strategy for you coming in, or are you just going to dance with what's sprung you at this point?
Well, I mean, it's a week to week case basis for me. This week I see a lot of landmines. You just tread lightly. On these games. For me, I like the totals in this week more than anything, but it didn't really make my premium plays. But I'm gonna give you a couple on the couple totals I like on the show.
All right. Well, why don't you get started then?
Yeah, so 1:00 slate. We're gonna go to Arlington, Texas, where the Panthers are playing the Cowboys, and you have Matt Rule everywhere he's going. From the college level, starting at Temple, probably before that, but head coach at Temple, then at Baylor, now with the Panthers. What does he do? He puts together a hell of a defense. So he's coming into this one with the number 1 ranked defense, basically across the board. And Dak Prescott, I see him on his back a lot today. He's going to get pressured. Last week they gave up 3 sacks. I see more than that, to tell you the truth. And they're going to run the ball, but once they run the ball, they're going to get stopped there too. Because, once again, they're like top 2 or 3 in run defense. So I don't know where Dallas is going to go to consistently move the ball. Now, on the other side, Dallas is a bad defense. But on the other hand, it's not like the Panthers' offense is really high-flying. They're good, they're productive. But as far as scoring, they usually get down to the red zone and score 3s and not 7s. And without Christian McCaffrey there, I expect a low-scoring game, a tight game. And for that, I like the under.
Joe, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I could get on this under. 4 of the last 5 games for these teams matched up have hit that under. Still like those Panthers. So for me, take the under, take the Panthers plus the points, maybe the money line.
I could see an under here as well. I think that the Cowboys defense, as much as we just hammered them in the last segment, I think that if they're going to stand up, this is their opportunity to do so. Without Christian McCaffrey in there, the Panthers are going to have to find some other options out there. It might create some better matchups for the Cowboys, but I just think that without DeMarcus Lawrence, they are seriously compromised. And also, it just seems that Quinn has done a nice job for, there, but he's got his guys. So as the season goes on and as the injuries start to mount, his guys are no longer available because it's not like he brought all of his guys, right? He only has some of them. And, Keanu Neal, certainly a key piece of that, and he's out for this one as well. He's been, kind of that guy that I talk about a lot because he replaced Jalen Smith, who makes the $15 million plus a year. So now Jalen Smith is back in there, and he's not a scrub or anything, but at the same time, he got beat out by a guy that makes, a third of what he does. But Keanu Neal, I believe, he was a first round pick. So in all fairness, anyways. I think we see that deliberate pace as well. I think that this might be one of those games where Joe and I are watching the games, and it's kind of like, oh, should we go on at the half now? Because this game's 5 minutes ahead of everybody else.
We will be there.
Yes,
we'll be there.
We're there every halftime. NFL today. Joe and I you don't have to worry about if your notifications don't go or anything like that. Trust me, we'll be there tonight. Sunday Night Football. We'll be there for the early games. Tune in anytime during, from the very first halftime till the last game goes back in action. Joe and I will be here. But, Jovan, what do you got next for us?
Yeah, so we got a 4:00 game. Baltimore playing the Broncos. It's crazy that me and James Clark got the same games we're capping the same games and bring them to you. But I'm on the total in this one also. I like the under. So Joe would button heads in this one. Yeah, so, the Broncos, they're having a renaissance years on defense, because they were long considered a defensive juggernaut. They had those years where Von Miller, was just running roughshod over the league, and he's having a bounce back season. It's a contract year for him. And, they're second ranked in total defense, third in pass defense, second in rush defense, and first in scoring at 8.7 points per game. It's going to be a daunting task because, you do have the dual threat in Lamar Jackson. But I see a game like this, it's going to be a lot of threes put up, a few sevens. I don't see a high-scoring game at all. Denver, they're a middle-of-the-road offense. So, with that said, both teams are going to, they're going to play the ground game. They're not going to play the passing attack, unless one team gets ahead by over double digits, and for a couple trends that factor into my capping in this one. For Baltimore, the under is 4-1 in the last 5 road games, as well as the last 5 road games versus a team with a winning record, and as a favorite. For Denver, they're 4-1 in the last 5 to the under, and 8-0-1 in the last 9 after allowing less than 250 yards in the previous game. So take the under.
Joe?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear everything that you're saying on why we should hit this under. And I'm still liking this over. I think if there's any chance for the Denver Broncos to be able to hang with the Ravens, yes, they will rely on their run game. Melvin Gordon will be able to find holes, and he flies when you get Melvin Gordon going. So if the Broncos can keep up, this game does go over this 44. Lamar is going to find Watkins, Brown. He's going to have a great day. So give me over 44.
I'm just concerned that the Broncos haven't faced anybody, and I know that they have a good defense, but the last 2 years in the draft, they've concentrated on offense and the skill positions. So while they have some good defensive players, the Ravens have some good offensive players too, and I think this is going to be a pretty good game. I think I'm with you. I think this has all the makings, and the point spread, basically shows you here. It's at a pick 'em at this point, that this is going to be a hard-hitting competitive game. And, you have 2 good kickers. And I think if you're a fantasy football player, which I'm not, these are some guys that you might want on your roster today, both of these guys. So I think that the game's going to be played between the 20s.
Yeah.
So what have you got for sale today? Like I said, absolutely on top of the leaderboards. Just it just seems you pad that number every single day at this point. It's just I know you go on these hot runs; they don't last forever, but I know people are enjoying the ride, and that's really the most important part. A lot of people jumping on Jovan's packages these days. So what do you got for everyone today?
Yeah, yesterday was just another day at the office. want to continue it day after day. Today's another day. With the NFL, it's a lot of traps out there. That's why a lot of people losing in the NFL. With me, I have certain tenets in my handicapping that play well to the NFL. So it basically takes heed to, some of the things that other people might fall in the traps with these NFL games. But with that said, I have 5 that I like. I wanted to put in one more premium play, but didn't pull the trigger. And may not pull the trigger, whatever. But I have 5 that I like. Grab it. It's showing me the money. Sunday football. I also have singular packages up for sale too for the later games. So, off of $44.99. Come get it.
Well, we appreciate you, and I tell you that $44.99. If you would have bought Jovan's longer-term packages, where you get them at a much deeper discount than what he's charging there, I think they pay for himself in the first pick. So anything over the past month has 3,200 units, nothing to sneeze at. That's for sure. And we count. So the way that the units count is we count just $100 bet per game, and that's how those units are calculated. So basically, if you bet $100 per game, we don't allow the cappers to say this is my 5-unit game or 10-unit game. They can say that within their picks, but we still count them all the same. So whether it's Monday Night Football where it's the only game in town, or whether it's Jovan's best play of the month, he still only gets that 100 units added onto his record, which it's a blessing and a curse, right? It's good sometimes, but other times not so much, but I think it keeps it honest and it keeps it fair, and that, which is what we try and do. But we appreciate you, Jovan, and we look forward to seeing you next week here on our show, and of course on Saturday as well as during the week on the drive-thru. But you can get his picks over at PickDawgz.
Absolutely. Have a good Sunday. Win. See you on Saturday.
Keep crushing those books. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
Jovan Burts just absolutely destroying the books. He's it's fun to see, It's fun to see. Not, you don't see it all the time where guys go on runs like that. Those are the good ones. Those are the ones you remember. Then those are the ones that people remember. And of course, our next guest will tell you all about that. He's probably had more good and bad runs than everybody combined on this show. So bring in Big Al Mcmodie. Al, welcome to the show. Coming off of a nice day yesterday in college football, you kind of threw the bomb there and completed a few passes.
Yeah, it was an interesting day. Folks watched yesterday. I had 16 plays. Well, 15 football, 1 baseball. We were 10-6 overall. We had our first 5-star play. As I mentioned yesterday, I only have about 10 to 12 5-star plays across all the major sports in a calendar year. So this was my first football 5-star. Easy winner on the Georgia Bulldogs against Arkansas. So that was nice to see.
Easy for you.
easy. I had a tough loser also. One of the games we talked about yesterday was the Oklahoma Sooners, and they fight the entire game to get above the number, and then they give up a 98-yard kickoff return with 90 seconds left of the game to blow it. So you don't always remember the good ones. You always remember the ones that hurt the most. That one really hurt, but overall, good day. I'm not going to complain about 10-6, so we'll move on to today. And overall, the last 4 days, 16-6, the last 22.
Well, not a bad run. What do you got for a free pick for today?
I've got 2 free plays. I've got 2 plays up at PickDawgz Premium. This is a really card I don't like a lot this week in the NFL. We had the Jaguars on Thursday. I've got 2 plays today, 1 side, 1 total. So here are 2 other plays that didn't make the cut, but they're the next best plays on the board. First game I'm going to look at is the Indianapolis Colts. They're 0-3. They're one of 5 winless teams in the NFL. And when you look at how winless teams they do their best work as road underdogs. And those teams going back to 1980, 357 and 277 ATS for 56.3%. And although there's nothing wrong with hitting 56.3%, we can improve our numbers by doing two things. We can eliminate division games, and then we can also eliminate opponents that have a 500 or better record. So there's only one team that fits those criteria this weekend, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. When you eliminate those two factors, then our 56.3 angle improves to 95 and 52, 65%. So they're playing the Miami Dolphins. Miami historically has been an awful home favorite. They are 24 and 45 ATS their last 69. So currently the line's 2.5. I'm going to take the Colts plus 2.5.
Lost us for a second. Joe, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Alan this one. I really think we haven't seen a great looking offensive side to the Dolphins lately, and I think the Colts can be able to capitalize on this and finally get a win.
I'm with you as well. I like the Colts in this one. I'm big anti-Carson Wentz. I really think he's terrible. I think him and Christian McCaffrey should be on the same team. I mean, just the injured list, right? It's like you could have the all injured list team, him and put on well, there's a few other guys. Sean Lee finally retired from the Cowboys, but he would have been there with them as well. Guys that play well for like a week or two, and then, you just don't see him again for the rest of the season. But I think that the Colts, are a better team than this, and the Dolphins, definitely a disappointment so far this season. It's the offense is 100% of the problem. And when you have a bad offense, you hang the defense out to dry. And I think that, we'll see the Dolphins probably put the Colts in those dark blue uniforms in the 1:00 game in Miami, but I don't think it's enough anymore.
Yeah, also one of the things I think we mentioned last week, the Colts have this incredibly difficult opening schedule this year where their first 5 opponents all had winning records last year. And they're the only team to be saddled with that difficult of a schedule. So, yeah, they're 0-3, but you also have to look at the opponents they've played thus far. Even the Dolphins, were 10-6 last year. So it's a very difficult opening stretch for Indianapolis. They'll get a breather in week 6, but I like them plus the points here. And the other game I chose, it was more also to just illustrate teaser bets. As a lot of people know by now, the best points for numbers to play teasers, there's 6 of them. 1.5, 2, 2.5 when you tease it up to 7.5, 8, and 8.5, and then 7.5, 8, and 8.5 when you tease it down to 1.5, 2, and 2.5. And by using any of those 6 point spreads, you capture the 3 and you capture the 7. So when you're doing an NFL 6-point teaser, those are the 6 numbers you should look at. So, today there were 3 options. You had the Colts, you had the Falcons, and then you had this third game, which I'm going to talk about, the Seattle Seahawks. So I think the Colts and the Seahawks are decent bets at the instant numbers. I also think they're decent bets when you put them together in a 2-team 6-point NFL parlay. Seattle's off back-to-back losses. Going all the way back to 2001, they're 34-8 ATS off back-to-back losses. And the 49ers, this is a crazy statistic. The 49ers are now 0-15-1 against the spread at home if their opponent is not off a straight-up win. And, and San Francisco's favored. So there is a home favorite if their opponent's not off a win, 0-15-1 ATS. So I'm going to take Seattle, plus the points, and I think Seattle and Indianapolis in the 6-point teaser is a worthwhile wager as well.
I love it. Joe?
Yeah, I like what Al's saying. I definitely like it better, teasing those points.
I'm going to go money line on those. I like both those picks really a lot. I think those are 2 dogs that have a chance to win outright as well. I just think that, San Francisco, just terrible home favorite, in general. And, the Dolphins, I mean, I'm a season ticket holder, so I know, just what kind of organization this is from top to bottom. I mean, here it is. The game is at 1:00 Eastern time. It's 11:19 a.m. I just got an email from them about parking. Probably tough to read if you're driving in your car to the stadium. And then they wonder why it's a mess. That is pretty much the situation there in Miami. It has been for quite some time. So, I expect, just a dumpster fire of a season we saw last year against Buffalo when they had the chance to make the playoffs. You never saw Don Shula lose games like that. That's for sure.
Well, Today at PickDawgz Premium, I've got side and a total in the NFL. I'm probably going to add a baseball play in a few moments here as well. So we'll probably have 3 plays at PickDawgz Premium. And I'm now 14-7, my last 21 NFL, and also going for my 10th winning year in a row in the NFL. So it's what I consider to be my best sport. These 2 plays today aren't necessarily the best we're going to see the entire season, but they're the 2 best on the card today. And if folks want to join for a week or for a month, they can team me up with one of the other champion handicappers here at PickDawgz on the 2-for-1 handicapper special.
So I have to ask then, because yesterday when you were on the show, you said, I don't like this NFL card. You already said it. You were like, I might be able to squeeze 3 picks out of here. You didn't even get there, right? You only got to 2. And,
well, I might. The third one might come tomorrow.
But in general, it's not like one of those NFL cards where you're just like, oh man, it's just jumping off the page at me. So when we look at, which leads me to ask, when we look at the late breaking information that people seem to be waiting on all the time, to bet their games late, not that important generally.
Well, for me, yeah, I mean, it can be important, but every handicapper is different. When I'm looking at late breaking information, I'm generally looking at one of 2 things. I'm looking at clarity on an injury. Is a guy going to play? Is a guy not going to play? Is it going to move the point spread? If he does play, then what will the point spread be, et cetera? And I'm looking at the number. Maybe I like a team at +7 or higher, and the number's hanging out at 6.5. So I'm going to wait until 30 minutes before game time before I, to see if I can get the number. So that's what I do when I'm looking for late breaking information. We talked yesterday. One of the things I was looking for in the Oklahoma game was just clarity on whether or not Skylar Thompson was going to play. Right? It turned out he did play. So that's the kind of information I look for when I'm waiting until the last moment to release the game to clients.
So like this, what I often see in the comments, and these are the YouTube comment bettors. And we know that they're probably not as advanced as some of the other bettors. You often see comments like Julio Jones is out for the Titans, or this guy's out. The other guy's out for the Titans. Both the receivers are out, and their top linebacker Bud Dupree also out for this game for the Titans. At what point is that reflected in the line? Immediately, no? Or is it? Is it people? The impression that I generally get from the comments is that like it's not in the line or something. Like the sportsbooks, they missed this one by some stretch of imagination that this guy, like if Patrick Mahomes is out, it's like the sportsbooks might have missed this or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's always reflected in the line. And, if there's a 70% chance that a guy's going to play, then it's 70% reflected in the line, right? And then when you get the clarity, then it can move later as well. But people are betting on the probabilities the entire time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that one of the things that the average bettor just seems to miss on a regular basis, and especially in the NBA where it's like you don't know, the last 2 years we haven't known who's going to play until these guys get on the court, to tip off the game, and it's been really, really tough capping this. I thought the first year in the bubble was a little easier, but last year with the no fans in the stands, NBA was one of the craziest things. It's like.
It's really frustrating in the NBA, especially for the 10 o'clock West Coast starts. We miss a lot of games. There was one game last year where I wanted to play on the Clippers so bad. It would have been one of my 5 best plays the entire season. And I needed to know if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were going to play. And you didn't find out until about 9:30 p.m. that night. And of course, you can't release the game at that point. You can bet on the game yourself, but you can't give it to your clients. So, that can be kind of frustrating with the NBA, with the way they're doing things these days. But, thankfully we get much better clarity in, the NFL.
Well, 3:30 p.m. today, the Lakers take on the Nets, and the NBA is back underway. It seems like the NBA has been playing all year, without very much of a break at all. And NBA preseason starts today. And if you watch our regular morning show, we've been betting NHL preseason hockey, which only means one thing. We have a problem. We might have a
Talk
problem.
for yourself, Mitch. It's not a problem if you're winning. It's only a problem if you're losing.
I need to talk to Chris about how his Maple Leafs are going to do this year.
Well, he'll be up next. So you'll get a chance to do that. But that's Big Al Mcmodie, definitely a legend in handicapping. We'll see you next Saturday, Al.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys next Saturday.
Thank you again for joining us. Always a pleasure. Al always has like this great information, all these different angles and stuff. And you could just, when he speaks, you kind of can hear the experience, right? It's kind of like.
Well, for me, my brain is just like trying to comprehend everything. All those stats he throws at us are unbelievable. Wealth of information there.
Yeah, it's always a treat to have him on the show. And, of course, you can get his picks at PickDawgz. It's he's one of those guys that it's like he never comes on here and says, I'm going to win them all, right? Never says, I'm going to win them all or anything like that. It's just it's a marathon. And it's like, it's like with James Clark and Jovan, who've only been handicapping a year, say this is the hardest part, is that you got to keep going and keep going. And, sometimes your system isn't working, but, over the long term it does. 58% winners doesn't mean you hit, 5.8 out of every 10. It could be 15 in a row and, on the other side of things too. I mean, in a perfect world, it does work that way, but, we don't live in a perfect world, unfortunately. But speaking of imperfect worlds, we've got Chris Ruffolo up next with us. Chris has been moving over the last week, and, it's never fun for anyone that's ever moved. It's a relationship-building exercise. Chris, how you doing?
I'm all right. It gives me a chance to order in more often than I usually do with Uber Eats. So I have an excuse at this point. I'm just blaming it on the move.
So is this room where you're in now, is this going to be your new broadcast studio?
Yes, it will. I'm moving all the furniture in today, and we're going to start the build this evening.
I'm excited to see it. I think maybe a little bit of an echo, so maybe a rug might help you. But I'll definitely help you out with that as well. So be sure to hit me up.
Appreciate it.
Definitely make it happen. But NFL Week 4. It's we're starting to get to that point of the season where we could separate out the contenders and pretenders already. You can't win it in the first 4 weeks of the NFL season, but you certainly can dig yourself a hole. Any teams that are surprising you so far?
To be honest, I mean, maybe we shouldn't say they're a bit of a surprise, but just how well the Cardinals are playing offensively through 3 games. Kyler Murray seems to have finally hit his stride, and he's surrounded by options that are helping him get there. But I think the logical surprise, I think, for everybody are probably the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. The 2 teams we've talked about. I know Joe and I have a Sam Darnold crush, and for good reason. Like I said, I think this is the best position he's been put in his career, and it's starting to pay dividends. You can't necessarily fault Sam Darnold for being in a bit of a gong show through the first 3 years of his career. So, but again, like you said, Mitch, it's a marathon, not a sprint. 4 weeks. We still have 3 more of these 4-week segments to go, plus a couple extras. So, still lots of time left in the game.
So, I could see what you're saying with the Denver Broncos being 3-0 coming in, but if they play the Colts schedule, are they 3-0 then?
Oh no. It's funny. I was actually going to mention this. I saw one of those like joke pictures on the Facebook page or somewhere. I can't remember, but it was Homer Simpson with the abs, and you see Denver Broncos 3-0, but there's a giant rubber band on his back pulling all the skin back, and it's saying that 3 teams combined are 0-9. So it's like
0-10. They're 0-10.
They're 0-10. Excuse me. Yeah. It's surface and then having to dig deep. It's what you see in front of you. And then, doing that extra digging, that really isn't that hard to do when you consider or see the teams that they've played.
Yeah, it's the NFL schedule makers. We know they do the best that they can do, but here you have the Seattle Seahawks also playing their 3rd road game in 4 games too. So we know Seattle's a tough building, and it's like if they can hit that with 7 home games left, at 500, well. You got almost like their chances, especially with one of their home game already being a loss. They don't lose too many at home traditionally.
No, they do not.
What do you got for us today for a free pick?
Well, funny you mentioned that Seattle home game. It was one of the 2 money line dogs we've hit in back-to-back weeks. We had the Chargers last week at a nice plus 260, and then that Titans game in Seattle anywhere between plus 200 and 250, depending on where you got it. And I'm going to be bringing in a couple of live dogs today that I think could have a shot at giving us some nice plus money, especially if you parlay them up. You can probably get 12-1 return on your money.
Well, you want to get who's your top dog here today then?
Well, my early dog today, and some people may want to plug their nose if they don't like it, but I'm going to go with the New York Giants. Now, the skeptics are going to say, yes, it's New York's first home game here. But like I said, that was the same scenario when we went and cashed with the Titans a couple of weeks ago in week 2 against the Seattle team. And this is an equally raucous, if not stronger, home crowd in Seattle, in my opinion. While it's apples to oranges with the Titans and Giants, I'm just not a fan of Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback. The Saints, in that game against New England, they got a few bounces that went their way. There was a pick six. There was a sort of pick six that, Jameis Winston capitalized on not having a pick that if he throws that 95 times out of 100, it's getting picked off. But that was one of the 5 times that it didn't, as well as a block punt. Now, yes, the Giants lost at home to the Falcons, and that's an ugly loss at home. But, even though the paper bag fans over their heads, they were out in full force. But the Giants played better in their lone road game this season against Washington. And the Giants, with Daniel Jones, have a historically better competition record playing on the road. And Daniel Jones, far more effective on the road. A 23-6 touchdown to interception ratio. And his quarterback rating on the road is almost 16 points higher, around 93, compared to a 77 rating at home, as well as 14 touchdowns and 16 picks. Outside of Sterling Shepard, the Giants are pretty much healthy on the offensive end and give Daniel Jones a decent chance to pull it off here. So I think there's value with the Giants here, and you could take the points if you want, but I'm taking a shot on the plus 270 money line flyer.
Joe, what do you think?
So I do see value with the Giants today with the points. I wouldn't be taking the money line personally. I think what we saw out of the Giants last week, they faced a Falcons team with a weak defense. So I'm not sure how they're going to do against the Saints. I think the Saints do have the better defense. I think the Saints are the better team, but can they cover the 7 points? I'm not sure if they can. So I like the Giants plus the points today.
Chris, I don't know if this predates you or what, but the Saints only had one other situation where they weren't unable to play New Orleans and then came back home and played, and that was the Hurricane Katrina game. And, wow, that was one of the ugliest beatdowns you'll ever see in the history of the NFL. U2 opened up for them. It went downhill for the visitors from there. I'm going to look up and see what the score is. The Hurricane Katrina Saints game. Let's see. This is a community that really knows how to rally. It was against the Falcons in 2006. Yeah, it was one of the most savage beatdowns that you ever see. The final score, what was that? I don't know what it was, but it was ugliness, and I expect this one to be a lot more of the same. I think that Falcons team was better than this team. You're going to see the emotional resiliency of a community all encompassed in one stadium, and the earth will move in New Orleans, Louisiana, at about 1 p.m. Eastern time today. And I don't think Daniel Jones has the sack to stand in there against what he's going to face, not just on the field, but in that stadium. I look for I can't get behind your pick in this one. I just gotta say.
That's okay. I've had it happen before. It was 23-3 in that game, by the way.
It wasn't even that, but it was never that close.
Oh no, I remember watching that game. But it's one of those things where I'm just searching for value on the card, and I think that just could be one of the spots. Again, I think we always say this. We're not going to win everything, but again, you got to try to search for value, and I think that's one of the ones that I was looking at for today.
You never know. I mean, I've been wrong before. I had Arkansas yesterday. Anyways,
so did I.
I also had Ole Miss yesterday. Brian Bittler shaking. When I said I've been wrong before, Bittler's shaking his head. He's like, yeah, he had Oregon, Arkansas, Ole Miss. It's like, yep.
He's got his list. He's pulling it out.
Yep. I wasn't wrong that the Gators were going to be bad this year. Anyways, what else do you got, Chris?
And my only other one, well,
if you say Chicago Cubs, I'm gonna.
Okay, never mind. I got nothing else. I'll see you later. No, I'm kidding. The narrative for me last week was, well, the mighty Kansas City Chiefs couldn't lose back-to-back games, and they did just that. So for my other game, I feel it's worth a shot. I'm going to go back to the other side of that Super Bowl matchup from last year, the Sunday Nighter. Now, when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl last year, a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the context was that it was all that win in the Super Bowl proves that it was Brady in New England and more Brady than Belichick and not as much about Belichick as everyone made it seem, or not as equal at least. And, the easy logic here would be to take Tom Brady after a loss against a team he knows in a place where he's more comfortable, despite being the first coming in as the enemy for the first time in his career. But the thing is, Bill Belichick is an elephant. He doesn't forget, and he's hearing these rumblings. And, I think the Patriots are going to be ready for this. I think they've had this game circled to the point of making a hole through the other 4 pages of the calendar. And, let's be real. The murmurs are there. And I think this is a point where Josh McDaniels has to kind of, man up, put his big boy pants on, and put Mac Jones in a position to succeed. And in that Saints game, well, the stats don't make, the stats I think make a mountain out of a molehill. A lot of those mistakes by Jones were preventable, but again, he wasn't put in the greatest of spots. And I think that in such a high-profile game, you have to kind of, take a shot with the Patriots here because, the thing with Tampa Bay is that the run game hasn't been as effective as they would have liked. Rob Gronkowski's going to be out, who's second on the team in targets and receptions this year. And I think that's big because the run game can't give you short third downs. Gronkowski's a safety valve, and I think it kind of limits the Buccaneers on third down and potentially could help the Patriots have a shorter field or, take the ball out of Tom Brady's hands. Now, I think if Atlanta can hang with the Buccaneers going into the fourth, the Patriots sure can. And the Buccaneers are injury-riddled in that secondary. And the addition of Richard Sherman doesn't move the needle much for me. He hasn't had much time to get acquainted with his new teammates. And Bruce Arians hasn't even been committal on how much playing time he's actually going to get this season. And even if he's at the top of his game, he can't cover everyone on the field. At the end of the day, I see this primetime game being a spot for Mac Jones to maybe make a statement that he's the right guy for the job in Foxborough, and the Pats made the right decision taking him. I think that we're getting plus 255 on the take back with Belichick and company at home in primetime. I think it's a bet I'm definitely going to have to make for tonight.
Well, there's the Ruffolo filibuster we've been looking for. Joe, you still awake?
I'm still awake. I'm here. Yeah, I can't go with the Patriots tonight. There is no way. I think how New England is going to welcome Tom Brady back is going to be outstanding before that game starts. And the media, they're really pushing this game. And I think it's one where we got to look at the storyline. And Brady is the greatest of all time. I hate to say it. He really is incredible at what he does. And I think he comes out and wins this game and wins it in huge fashion against Belichick. Now, I know Belichick is amazing. I don't think Tom Brady would have been Tom Brady without Belichick. Belichick wouldn't be Belichick without Tom Brady. I think both of these guys are absolutely outstanding. It is going to be a battle, but we're adding Mac Jones into the conversation as the quarterback for the Patriots. You can't tell me that Belichick has had enough time with Mac Jones to beat Brady.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, I agree with you. There hasn't been a ton of time for Mac Jones to settle in. But I think that, the rumblings with McDaniels and after that game against the Saints, there has to be a breaking point where, they have to say enough is enough. And I think that it's sort of been building to this spot where, they are welcoming Tom Brady back, but they said they're not going to give him the Drew Brees treatment that the Raiders gave him, especially because that game was at home. But, I still think that this is just, like I said, a circle game for the Patriots. I think that that's what they've really been preparing for the whole week.
I don't know. I disagree with Joe in the respect that Belichick wouldn't be Belichick without Brady. He would still be Belichick. He's won everywhere he's been. He basically was the guy when the Giants were the Giants. And, he won the Super Bowl really with Jeff Hostetler as his quarterback. And, he's the guy that got Matt Castle that gigantic contract that he's probably still getting paid on. And he's the guy that, why Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback for the Dolphins this week. This is the guy. But he doesn't have enough pieces of the puzzle together. You know, I thought that the Patriots would be one of the more improved teams this year, not just because of, you know, another year. I like the Mac Jones draft pick. I like all those things. But I think the issue that he has is those guys that took last year off. And maybe they were the guys that took last year off because they might not have made the roster. You know, maybe they were trying to milk their career another year. I really thought that those guys were going to be impact players. Also, you know, bring back Kyle Van Noy, you know, hasn't really been an answer that they had hoped it would be. I don't think Hightower is the same player that he was 2 years ago. I think that these are part of the problems, and I think when you look at the Patriots receivers, they're still the Patriots receivers, and I don't think getting rid of Sonny Michel was addition by subtraction. I think it was just straight subtraction. I think Mac Jones checks it down way too much. Just throw the frickin' ball down the field. If they pick it off, it's the same as a punt, you know? Really. I mean, enough. You know, I understand Nick Saban, you know, beat you up for however many years you had to sit there in Alabama, and I get it, you know? If you leave the stadium, we're taking away your season tickets. You know, I'm changing the channel. Come to my living room, take away my TV, Nick. See what the hell happens when you try that. But, you know, I just think that, you know, I don't think that Belichick has the ammo to compete with what the Bucs have. They are the defending Super Bowl champions. I think losing on back-to-back weeks, probably not going to happen. I understand they're both on the road. But Tom Brady, I mean, this guy's a surgeon out there. I mean, he is a surgeon. And I agree with Joe. We might not like to admit it, and we might not like it, but he is the greatest of all time. And when it comes to the big game, the biggest of big stage, the highest priced regular season ticket for an NFL football game that we have ever seen, this is his stage. This is when he's at his best. This is when we have seen, you know, the GOAT, right? This is why he's the GOAT.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think
right as you said that, it's funny. There's a bunch of goats on my TV dressed up in Brady jerseys. I don't know what feed this is, but that's exactly what's happening right now. You guys, I know a lot of people are going to take clips of me saying Brady's the greatest of all time because I hate to admit it, but he is.
Yep, I had to do a whole video about it last year after the Super Bowl. I came on after the Super Bowl and I just said, you know what? I apologize. You know, when it comes to winning the big game, which is how you're judged,
yeah, this
guy has done it. You know. And speaking of big games, Chris, possibility of a Chris Sale versus Cole for the AL wildcard game. Any early thoughts on that?
I hope it doesn't happen because then that means my Blue Jays are out of the playoff race. So today's going to be interesting. And also, you'd have to be throwing in Chris Sale on short rest, depending on how long he goes today, because I think he's going against a rookie today in Washington. But, you know, if that's the case, if we get Cole and Sale in a pitching matchup in a wild card game, I won't be sad about it.
Chris Sale started his career as a reliever, so I'm going to guess we're going to see him. So if there is if it is that matchup. But what do you have for sale today at PickDawgz?
For me today, I got a couple of 3-packs up there. I got my NFL Insider's Edge 3-pack, 3 plays that you want to be on the right side of these games, and I've got the right side for you in those games. So check those out. It's $39.95. Or if you want to just make some money on the last day of the MLB regular season, got my Diamond Mine 3-pack as well up there. 3 plays again that I absolutely love, and I've got sizable wagers on today. So definitely check those out, or, you know, pair any of us up, or just take me with the 2-for-1 capper deal, or the long-term passes. Some of your best value over at PickDawgz. We still got season passes up there. It's going to be value for you guys all day over there, so go and check it out.
All right. Well, Chris, always a pleasure having you on. Can't wait to see how the studio develops over the next week. I know it's a fun process. We've all, you know, everyone on our shows has built one. Joe's done it. I've done it. But certainly here to help, and look forward to seeing you during the week on the drive-through with Tony T. I'll see you Wednesday for my usual time slot. At least I think I will. I don't know how many. I don't think there's going to be any games on Wednesday. There's just one game, right? Wild card game or something.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Tony will make me talk about something. So we know that much. But anyways, Chris, thank you.
You can talk about your future hockey bet.
Yes, we could do our hockey futures or NHL preseason.
There you go.
bird cages that we've been doing on our morning show. Don't look at
Yeah,
my
we
stuff.
can.
Just don't look at my stuff. It's none of your business.
Don't worry. Mitchie Pucks is trademarked. We already get it. We know. Mitchie Pucks is going in the Hall of Fame. It's fine.
We'll see if I can skate away with the cup this season. Anyways, thanks Chris for joining us. Joe, that was Chris Ruffolo. Always fun to have on. And Chris, in the new digs, I love the blank canvas. You know, I'm one of those people. It's like I'm not even in the room. I don't even know the dimensions, but I already can feel the layout going on. You know, I'm already designing.
Absolutely, I can't wait to see the outcome.
Yeah, me too. I think when you have a dedicated space like that, it's just a lot of different things you can do. Like I have multiple sets in the same room, here. So I can see Chris doing something similar. But getting into closer to game time now, and so we bring in our game time guests, and of course the next person is not really a guest at all. He's kind of a regular. Was not kind of a regular. He is a regular, right? It's like. Among other things. Yeah, and we don't have time or I think an in-staff editor to go into those things, but can't find his name tag. Definitely don't want to bring him on without his name tag. All right, there we go. Rod, welcome. Looks like you're on the road. Are you digging rocks or something? What's going on there with the rock background?
It's actually a giant painting in the kitchen here. It's like massive. It's like, so I put the nice spotlight underneath it, and I got the spotlight here, and it looks pretty good behind me. I was like, wow, that looks pretty good.
It looks like the things that we use to create the thumbnails. They have some backgrounds that are stone, right? And it's kind of like, it looks like some of those backgrounds that they have. That's why I thought that's what it was.
I tried to hang up some stuff off of it, but I actually pulled it off the wall, so I actually had to find some nails and hammer this thing back on the wall and then set it back up so I don't get in trouble for ripping it off the wall. So yes, it's all sitting like it's pretty behind us. It looks good. and
You're never going to be allowed back at hotel.
So when does the NHL season? When does the regular NHL season start? When does the
October 12th, I believe, is the.
Oh, that's right, because I have my Kraken bet will actually go.
Yeah, you got your Kraken bet on the 12th.
Yeah, I just bet the wrong game.
Against Las Vegas.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm sure the odds are
See,
good.
That's good. So you know your odds are good because everybody's going to hump up, as Bittler would say, on Vegas because they're like, oh, it's Vegas. Everybody's humping Vegas.
Yeah, so, well, that means the odds will probably be better for me because I have the Kraken in that one. So the odds will probably be higher than what they will be. But
by the time game time hits, the odds will definitely be higher than probably what you bet it too.
Thanks.
Might have to bet it again.
I'm not betting it again.
I'm not betting it again.
I'm not that thrilled with betting it the first time there. But we got NFL Week 5 action. Still no bye weeks for anybody here. So what do you got for us to get the show started?
You got things rolling. I'm going to go with the Colts here on the money line over the Dolphins. You look at both these defensive, they've definitely been good at taking the ball away. You look at the Dolphins with 6 takeaways, Colts with 7 takeaways. Both teams been able to take the ball away, but definitely haven't capitalized on offense on a lot of those takeaways. But you look, for me in this game, you look at the Dolphins, they're 0-9 after playing the Raiders the week before. And the Colts, I don't think they're going to lose 4 straight to start the season. I think they come out and they get themselves a win here. Their defense turns the ball over and is able to capitalize on those points finally. And I think it's going to be a battle. I like the under. It's at 42. I like the under as well. But give me the Colts on the money line. I think they get a win here over the Dolphins.
Joe, Colts.
Yeah, I'm with Rod. I think the Colts come out, get it done. I do like that under as well. I know it's a low number, but I don't think either of these teams are going to be able to put up a lot of points. Both defenses aren't allowing very many points at all. And the Colts are only averaging 18, 19 points per game. So I would definitely take the Colts and the under in this one.
I'm with you. I like the Colts, and I like the under too. I think that even with Nelson out for the Colts, that I think that still the Dolphins' offense has just really struggled this season. I think the Colts, running game is going to probably be the story of the day in this one. I look for the Colts to control the ball on the ground. So it could come down to a late field goal either way.
Yep, I think it's definitely last second field goal on this one. 17-14.
One of those tight games. What else do you have for us today, Rod?
And another one for me. We're going to go with the Sunday Nighter. I'm going to take the under. I really think we're going to have a battle on our hands. I don't think this Sunday Nighter is going to be a high-scoring shootout. I think we've seen primetime games go a lot to the over. I like the under in this one. You look at the Bucs, 6-2, their last 8 following an ATS loss to the under. Patriots 5-0 to the under as a dog. They're also 9-1 their last 10 on field turf to the under. They're also 13-3 their last 16 to the under. The under is also 4-0 the last 4 meetings between these two. New England's solid D should be able to slow down Brady's pass attack because the Bucs' run game is almost obsolete. It just doesn't seem like they get that going at all. So the Patriots will stuff that. And I think they slow them down. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I like the under in the Sunday Nighter. It looks like weather. If you look at the weather, it's going to be a rainy day at Foxborough. So give me the under. I think it's going to be a hard-fought slobber knocker battle. Give me the under in this one.
Joe, what are you thinking here? We haven't really talked about the total in this game yet. This is something that we.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this total.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So we've seen this total drop a full point. So it's 49.5. It did open at 50.5. And I'm more interested to see what Tampa Bay's over-under team total would be. It's something I need to pull up here because I really do think Brady has a huge day. And so when we are looking, they are more of a passing team. I see those numbers going higher than expected, especially for Tampa Bay. My question is New England going to be able to put up the points today? I don't know if they'll be able to put up the points. So I would be looking at this under for the game. But I'm going to pull up the team total right now just quickly on my phone and see what it is for the Tampa Bay Bucs. 1 second.
Just checking her DMs while she's there.
I'm checking. I promise.
It's like, ooh, who slid into my DMs today?
No one's allowed to slide into my DMs. Not allowed. Why can't I find the team total? If anyone has the team total in front of them, let me know. I'm not seeing a team total on this one. Passing.
I'll get
touchdowns.
it. Hang on a second.
My book has added a million things and not the team total yet this morning.
My book will have it. My book is like trying to get it so I can't bet halves.
Mine doesn't like me betting team totals.
It will. It will.
First quarter.
All right, so it has Tampa Bay Bucs team total
27.5.
Yep, I've got 28.
I'm looking.
I got 28.5 and 21.5.
Ooh, I got 27.5.
Yeah, I would hit that. I would hit that team total.
I like it.
Hit it over. Yeah, I really do. I think also look at props for Brady. I think Brady's going to go over in his passing. I don't care what it is. I think he has a phenomenal day.
All right. Rod, what do you got next?
Whatever you like. Which game haven't you covered yet? How's that? I'm going to throw one at you. You can throw one at me. How's that? You pick one that's on the board that we haven't talked about that hasn't got any headline news, and I'll talk about it. How's that?
All right. No one's talked about Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say the Steelers and the Packers. No one's talked about it, Mitch.
No one talked about that, or Bills Texans was the one I was going to say. Let's give, But
Rod, whichever one you want to talk about of those two.
Falcons, Washington, no one's talked about.
Yeah.
We got a bunch.
Well, Bills in Houston. I think that's going to be a one-side slobber knocker. Houston with their quarterback situation, it's not good. So how are they going to score points against this Buffalo team? Very tough too. And at home in Buffalo, they're already they've been partying for hours and hours and hours on end. They've been tailgating for since yesterday probably. We know how the Bills Mafia is. I would lay the points. I think Buffalo Bills roll right over Houston today in that one. And the other one, I think, is going to be tighter than what we see. And we see the Steelers, they got their butt whooped by the Bengals last week. And I think they come back and make this a closer game. I think this game is a field goal game written all over it between the Steelers and Green Bay. I know that Aaron Rodgers at home, usually pretty solid, but I think the Steelers come and they battle in this one. They're 1-0 ATS on the road. I think 6 points is too many. I think it's a field goal game all day. Even the Steelers points in that one.
Joe, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm excited to see Big Ben and Aaron Rodgers hit the field today. I don't know if this is one I'm staying off of. I really do think Aaron Rodgers at home is so dominant. He's 5-2 against the spread in the last 7 games as Green Bay Packers. But something about the Steelers, we've seen them just falling apart to start this season. It would be such a great storyline. They come back and win in Green Bay. I don't see it happening, but I keep looking at the storyline thinking the Steelers have to cover today. With those
they are
points.
8-2. 8-2 ATS in the last 10 following a double-digit blowout loss at home. So, and the road team's 4-1 last 5 meetings between these two. So, yeah, I think 6 points too many. I think Steelers show up today. 3-point game. It's one of those last-second field goal type games. I can see it.
I could see that Steelers-Packers game being tight, and I could see the Steelers winning it outright too. Big Ben and Aaron Rodgers, I think, have only faced each other once in their career, maybe twice in their entire careers, which is pretty amazing that these guys have been around that much. When you look at those trends and you look at the spacing in between, I believe that one or both were out in some of the other meetings, but these teams have only met 3 or 4 times since 2011, which is when they played in the Super Bowl, which is craziness, right? It's like this is one of the 2 most popular teams in the NFL when it comes to fan bases. When you come to when you go to the sports book, you see more Steeler and Packer jerseys than anything. But these teams played in February 6, 2011. That was the Rashard Mendenhall fumble in the Super Bowl. They played December 22nd, 2013, and then they played in 2017. Is the only times these teams have played in the last 10 years, which is just craziness, right? I mean, who would have thought? So that last game in 2017, Brett Hundley started for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers was out that year. So it has been since 2013 that these guys have squared off against one another, which is so unlikely considering these are the 2 longest tenured quarterbacks in the NFL, right? I mean, two of the longest. So it's pretty amazing. I think the other game that Rod talked about, the Buffalo-Houston game, well, I've been a little higher on Houston than a lot of people. The thing is that they have been looked worse and worse each week. And normally when you see these gigantic spreads in the NFL, we saw them last year with the Chiefs against the Jets, I think it was 20-something points. It just seems that the favorite covers when it's this gigantic number in the NFL more often than not, a lot more often than not. And you're always thinking, wow, it's a ton of points. But, it's not enough. Rod, what do you got?
I think this Houston team is on Joe's. We want them to nosedive, right? I think she's got a nice bet on
nosedive.
So.
I have a few tracks. Plus 2,800 for the worst team.
The unfortunate part of that equation is that means the Jags have to win one, which is not going to happen.
Right? I think I said that too. I was like, oh, the Jags, you got to watch out for the Jags.
Yeah.
But for me today, I got my NFL Sunday big ticket. I got an early triple, and I got an afternoon/night triple. You like 3 early games, 3 afternoon games, or you can get it all in my NFL Sunday big ticket 6-pack. I got 6 best bets I absolutely love. We went 4-1 last week. We're going to keep it rolling. Bounce back from our rough couple of days. Definitely had a rough couple of days. So big bounce back Sunday.
rough days happen. It's all part of the business and giving out picks.
We were on such a run before that,
yeah.
so right, I knew I was going to get a couple of days that were going to hit rough, and you just can't avoid it, right? You can't keep winning forever.
The nature. It's not like you have the ability to change your identity. It's like a lot of people doing that.
No, you come here and
it's like
you gotta still show out even after you
I'll create a new Twitter account. I'll be Zawacky. You think anyone will notice that?
Just shave
How about
the
if I
beard,
call
wear
myself?
sunglasses. No one will know.
How would I call myself?
No one will know. See, I can put some shades on, and then nobody will know.
How about Vegas winning picks 17? It's like Vegas winning picks 18. It's like
18.
It's like LV winning picks 6. It's like I don't know. It's just the way that it is. But anyways, thanks Rod for joining us. Of course, you can see Rod on our shows here every single day, 7 days a week. It's a ton of Rod with us. But Rod on another vacation, man. He is
lucky guy.
He is the vacation guy. He's kind of.
Well, with how his bets
before the big S word happens, he might as well get it in. It was like I had to come in.
Don't mention
get in.
that
The weather's
word.
nice.
It's not allowed.
Enjoy the fall. Right? See, I didn't. I just said the S words coming. That's also I didn't. You say the word and then it happens, right? So.
Anyway,
Thursday.
So far, the mound over here has no S word on it. So.
Well, that was Rod Zawacky on vacation, but always on the ball here on our PickDawgz show every morning, every day, 11 a.m. Eastern time on the weekdays, and of course 10 a.m. here on the weekends. We've been having a good time. Rod swore off betting preseason NHL hockey until, well, you know how that works. You hang out with the wrong you hang out with the wrong crowd, and good things start to happen. But speaking of the wrong crowd, we've got our last guest of the day. Do we save the best for last? Not necessarily. It just happens to be last. But we bring in Brian Bittler. Brian, how's it going today?
Of course you save the best for last. You know how the saying goes.
Well,
but
Joe would
I got to
last.
say,
then Joe would be last.
That's true. She is my favorite.
Thanks, Brian.
I got to say,
show.
I've been enjoying some of the picks today, especially Ruffolo's Patriots play. I really like that one. So, I'm ready to go off a winning day yesterday. I'm going to build momentum. I like today's card, actually.
Well, what have you got for everyone?
I'm going to throw somebody a screwball here, but the first one's a planned pick. The New York Jets plus the points here. Everybody knows that's one of my favorite teams. Jets might be 0-3, but in my opinion, they are not the worst team in the NFL. They have a solid roster in spots, and I think their defense has been put into bad spots by Zach Wilson. 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions so far in the year. And I don't think he could really play much worse. This Titan team is missing their 2 top receivers, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown. I think the Jets focus in here on stopping the run and force Tannehill to throw the ball more. Tannehill has been mediocre, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, just too many points in the game that should come down to, I believe, a field goal or a backdoor cover here for the Jets. Titans do not do well on the road versus teams with a losing record. Titans just 6-20. 6-20-1 ATS last 27 road games versus a team with a losing record. Play the Jets here plus the points. I would have it as a premium pick if I could get it up to slate.
I think you may have moved down a rung on the Joe Madden list because I know she's got that season-long prop on Zach Wilson interceptions, and she'd like to pad that number today. Joe, you want to explain to Brian how the NFL works?
He could still throw interceptions, and they could still cover the spread. So.
No way. This is not happening, Brian. Titans are coming out. Titans are going to be so embarrassed if they lose to the Jets today. They're going to come out with everything they have. They want a big win. The Jets can't do it. Zach Wilson's going to throw interception after interception. I see defensive touchdowns happening by the Titans. They're going to run away with this game. They can't have a close one here and be embarrassed by the Jets. So
field goal win by the Titans.
No.
They're famous for field goal wins. Late field goal wins, time's running out. 45-yard field goal wins it. Jets lose another one, but they cover. And the Jets
agree,
are 0-3 against the spread this year.
Right, but Titans are like that, but they're facing a rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson, right?
Who's Tannehill going to throw the ball to, though, today? They're going to have to run the ball.
It doesn't matter. He could do it himself.
See, I'm a Jets guy, so it's hard to. I'm a Jets guy.
Checking through the comments to see if there's a Joe stop picking on Brian comment on there. It's like if it was me,
that's okay. She could pick on me.
I'd be getting hammered. You know, I don't understand the pick. I think the issue that we have here is the Jets are just not ready to win yet. I mean, it's crystal clear, and I think that against a team that runs the football, that defense is going to get sucked out, dragged around the field, and we've seen teams try and key on Derrick Henry before. Unfortunately, it doesn't work because they don't have any players that are better than him on that team. Zach Wilson is a problem, and I think, when you're playing against a Titans defense that we know gets a ton of tips, that's what they do, is they get a lot of tips and the ball bounces around. Julio Jones and Brown, these weren't announced an hour ago. These were announced way longer.
Of course, that's still built into the line. Of course.
It's way built into the line.
I know in 3-team against the spread, the small guys humping up on the Titans in the road. Titans are not a good road cover team. I'm not saying the Titans are going to lose this game, but they're not going to cover.
Well, they covered in their road games so far this season.
Right.
And their one non-cover was at home. The thing is that, when you have a strong running game and you could really demoralize a team. We saw that in the Georgia-Arkansas game yesterday. We saw it in the Alabama-Ole Miss game yesterday. When you have that running game, and I think what the Titans did last time out, what we saw from them last week was they were stacking the line to try and stop Henry. And then they were covering the receivers downfield. But then what happens is you have a wide receiver that plays quarterback on your team. And Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver at Texas A&M. He only played quarterback like 6 games or something there. So he played wide receiver his whole career there. But, he was a quarterback. He was recruited as a quarterback. He played wide receiver. And then he played quarterback like 6 games in college. But what we saw last week is that when he takes off, it's not a 5-yard gain or a quarterback sneak for a yard like Tom Brady does. This guy reels off 30, 40, 50-yard runs. And against a Jets defense that's not disciplined to begin with, they're in deep doo-doo here. Very, very bad spot. But, I've been wrong before and plenty this week, so who the hell knows. Brian, what else you got for us?
I might remind you later today if that happens. But I'll take the Arizona Cardinals in my second game plus the points here. LA Rams are off a huge win over the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Now they take on the young and hungry Arizona Cardinals here on Sunday. I see this game as another field goal game anyway you slice it. Arizona's defense is right on par with the Rams here. Kyler Murray, I think, comes out, makes a statement that the Cardinals' potent offense can really make it hum, even against this Rams defense. Cardinals excel on the road as an underdog and have also been a great cover team in October. Statement game here for Arizona. There are 9-3-2 last 14 games as a road underdog and 12-5-2 against the spread last 19 road games and a 8-2 record last 10 October games. Take Arizona Cardinals and the points.
Joe, what do you got in this one?
Well, it feels like Brian just picks games that he knows I'm going to disagree with him on. So I'm sorry, Brian. I hate disagreeing with you all the time. I know we do agree on a lot of games. This is another one. I have to get behind these Rams. I do think they're going to come out. I hear everything that you're saying on the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. I think they're a fantastic team. But I'm looking at the Rams at home, and I do think they have the advantage in this game. I think their defense is going to be a little more than Kyler Murray and all his weapons are expecting today. So give me the Rams minus the points. Mitch, I know you don't agree with me either, and you're with Brian.
I am with Brian in this one.
Yep.
And he's not my favorite capper, but he is. I do have to agree with him here. I just think that this game is tight. I don't think divisional games by nature are tight. I think the teams within the same division are built to play one another, and that's why these games are tight. It's like you can't look at the schedule in the NFL next year and know who you're playing, but you you're playing against the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers if you're the Cardinals. So they build their team to play those teams, and so they're built to play these Rams. Of course, a little bit different Rams than what they were built to play with, because now they have Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff, which is a difference, but we haven't seen Stafford actually be a winner in his career on a consistent basis, and I could see him getting pushed out of that pocket. And if that happens, well, he might not finish the game against this Cardinals defense. These guys can seriously bring the heat. That Chandler Jones, he is a handful. I just really think that I think they get Stafford out of the pocket, outside of his comfort zone. Meanwhile, Kyler Murray, I think he's going to get pushed outside the pocket too, but that's where he wants to be. So I think the Rams maybe win. I think it is probably a field goal game. I think what we probably see is that the Cardinals complete a big play downfield to A.J. Green or Hopkins, and it's called back because of an illegal man downfield, which seems to be the penalty of the year this year, is the illegal man downfield, and it's because the mobile quarterback is why you see the illegal man downfield, because now they've made it so he can only go, one step, and then he's, illegally downfield, even though he has no bearing on the play whatsoever. If he's more than a yard, it's like there used to be a little bit of leeway there, but now it's like a yard and 1 foot. He's illegally downfield. So it's these mobile quarterbacks is who it kind of hurts the most. I still like the points here with the Cardinals.
Well, I could see the Cardinals being down 10 points with 2 minutes to go in the game, and the Cardinals drive right up the field on them and close out the game with a meaningless touchdown. So they got the weapons on wide receiver. So we'll see what happens.
I like the garbage points. Anyways, Joe and I, of course, will be live at halftime. Those late games are only for premium and VIP members, though. So the early show, Joe and I will be here with everyone, and then the 4 o'clock games, it's just the premium and VIP members. And then of course, Sunday Night Football is everyone will be back again. And then, Monday Night Football, we own that thing. Anyways, we own the prime time. That's for sure. I think we've done well overall. I think we are over. I hate being a Twitter capper number guy, but I do believe we are over 80% winners on our halftime shows. I think we're
absolutely.
I think we're well over that at this point. And even Brian, who hates my picks on a regular basis, will even agree with that. But Brian, what do you got for sale today?
Well, just 3-2 yesterday, but cashed my non-conference game of the year with Notre Dame going down in defeat. 19-11, 63% last 30 NFL plays. I got my NFL game of the month. You can get that in my 3-pack, my super sharp 3-pack for $40 at PickDawgz.com. 3 winning NFL picks. Looking to sweep the board today, or pick up the VIP plan. I'm going to have one of those plays for you included in that. So either subscribe to the VIP YouTube or pick up my super sharp 3-pack.
All right. Well, that was Brian Bittler. Of course, you can see him every day on our live show. Joe, pretty good show we had today. We had a lot of cappers, a lot of picks. Of course, all of these picks and cappers will be whatever you call it, chapters, or what do you call it, time-stamped in the
timestamp
in the
bookmark,
video.
whatever it is.
Yeah. Of course, you could also see Joe and I halftime of the early games, the afternoon games, the night games tomorrow night as well. And, of course, every morning here at PickDawgz at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. on the weekends. You still have time to enter our office pool contest. You can find that on Twitter. You can find it on our YouTube channel. You can find it over at PickDawgz or at Sports Chat Place. It's free to enter, cash prizes. The information for the VIP membership is in the
description.
Yes, of the video. You just click on it. It says join our premium and VIP, and it has all the information there. So you can find that there. It's been there forever. But anything else, Joe, you want to say to our audience?
Yeah, let's crush the books today, you guys. I'm also looking at the Steelers and the Packers total in this game. I think we see a higher scoring game than predicted because I see this one going to overtime. So give me the over in that one.
So you've been with us a little over a month. What do you think of Bittler's Jets pick? You can be honest now. It's like,
I was pretty honest with him here. I can't get behind the Jets. There is absolutely no way. If he comes out and proves me wrong, then hats off to him. But I don't see the Jets being able to pull this one off today. I think they've got way too many holes on the offensive side of the ball, and the Titans will capitalize on this today.
I've been doing these shows for a few years with Brian at this point, and what'll happen is he'll just continue to take teams like this all the time, and then people will say that we're picking on him. And, then like around week 12, they'll finally cover, one, and then we'll even jump on them, for a week or two just to humor them. But, you'll kind of start to see this pattern develop over time. And this is how Mitch is always picking on Brian. Just for the hell of it, I'm going to parlay up the Bills with the Minnesota Vikings and, let's see, Bills, Vikings, and Colts for an early 3-team parlay. We'll see you guys at halftime. Thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. The VIP show will follow in about 5 minutes or so. But we had a good show, and thanks again. I'm going to try and act more professional tomorrow.